Are you tired of your 9-to-5 job? Are you bored of being an employee? If so, then this is the book for you. You may know people who quit their job and started a business. Now, they earn big and continue to succeed. You can become one of them. It's not just a dream. Robert Kiyosaki will teach you what you need to learn before you quit your job and take that great leap. Being an entrepreneur is not easy. You will learn that there is no security in being an entrepreneur. There are no regular salary and benefits. You will learn that new entrepreneurs fail and fail again. But what's important is that you are willing to learn from mistakes and do hard work for free. The path starts with changing your mindset. You may have been an employee for years and you think like an employee. Now is the time to change it. By learning the mindset of an entrepreneur, you will gain freedom and eventually success. Here are valuable lessons you need to become a successful entrepreneur. Lesson 1. Employee versus entrepreneur. The poor dad said, "Study hard, get good grades, so that you can have a stable job with regular pay." He encouraged Kiyosaki to become an employee, but the rich dad said, "Build your own business and hire people who are smarter than you." He encouraged Kiyosaki to become an entrepreneur. What is the difference between an entrepreneur and an employee? The employee begins to work after the business is built. Meanwhile, the entrepreneur begins to work even before the business is built. The truth is that 99% of new businesses close down before its 10th anniversary. Most businesses fail because they are poorly designed. The owner might make the business last up to 5 years or more because of hard work. The owner does everything just to keep the business running. Robert Kiyosaki has a friend named John who quit his job in a large bank to start his own business. John worked as a loan officer and he had a nice salary, but he realized that the richest customers in the bank are the entrepreneurs. John wondered if he could become one of them. He wanted to be his own boss and do things in his own way. And so, John quit his job and opened a lunch shop with his mom. They rented a space near the corporate offices in town. Every day, John and his mom wake up as early as 4 a.m. Then they start to prepare the food. Both of them worked hard to serve good-tasting lunch at low prices, but in generous portions. Kiyosaki often visits them to chat and eat. John seemed very happy. He enjoys serving the customers. John always says to Kiyosaki, "Someday we will grow big. Someday we'll pay people so they can do the hard work for us." But that someday never came true. John's mother passed away. He closed the lunch shop and applied as a manager in a fast food restaurant. John became an employee once again. The last time Kiyosaki saw him, John said that the pay in the fast food is low, but at least the work hours are lesser. Now you may say that at least John tried to run a business. He worked hard. If his mom still lives, they could have expanded the business and made more money. Kiyosaki cared a lot for John and his mother. He feels sad that they worked so hard, but still the business failed. But failures are part of being an entrepreneur. There is something wrong about the way that John designed the business. A successful business is designed to operate and grow, even if the owner is not there. That is the true job of the entrepreneur. According to Kiyosaki, there are 4 kinds of people in business. The first is the employee. The senior manager and the janitor are both employees. They receive regular salary and benefits. The second is the self-employed or small business owner. The self-employed business owner believes that if you want something done right, you better do it yourself. The third is the big business owner who runs a company with 500 employees or more. The big business owner believes in building good systems and hiring good people. And lastly, the fourth is the investor. The investor is the one looking for small or big businesses which can manage and grow his money. Lesson 2. Turn bad luck into good luck. This chapter is all about learning from your mistakes. You should not view mistakes as bad luck. You should take them as an opportunity to learn more about the business or yourself. Mistakes are like stop signals. They are like warning signs for you to stop and take a moment. It means that you are missing something and you should figure out what it is. Here is the story of Robert Kiyosaki's poor dad. He is 50 at the time. He retired from his work as a government employee and decided to start a business. Poor Dad bought a franchise of the famous ice cream store. He thought that this business cannot fail. People love this ice cream brand. However, in just 2 years, Poor Dad's ice cream franchise closed. He lost all his money. Poor Dad became depressed and angry. He blamed the franchisor for the failure of his business. He did not learn from his mistakes. Poor Dad should have accepted at once that something is wrong. He should have stopped to think. However, Poor Dad just continued every day. He fired the staff so that he can cut cost. Poor Dad spent all his remaining money to blame people for his mistakes. Instead of accepting the failure and starting over, Poor Dad only made matters worse. Here is the usual process that a new entrepreneur goes through. First, open the business. Second, fail and learn. Third, seek a mentor. Fourth, fail again and learn. Fifth, take some classes. Sixth, fail again and learn again. Seventh, if you reach success, then you can take a rest. Eighth, you can celebrate. Ninth, count your earnings. Keep track of your wins and losses. 10th, start again and go back to the first step. The truth is that 90% of aspiring entrepreneurs never get it to step 1. You may have the perfect business plan in your head or notebook, but you never put it into action. This is called analysis paralysis. The lesson here is that you will never know until you try. How can you practice? How can you get better at it when you don't start the business in the first place? It is okay to fail. It is okay to mess up. What's important is that you recognize the mistake, learn from it, and get back up again. If you don't, then you'll become an employee forever. Lesson 3. Job versus work. One day, Rich Dad asked Kiyosaki about the difference between job and work. Kiyosaki was confused. He said, "Aren't they referring to the same thing? Job is just the same as work, isn't it?" But Rich Dad said no. A job is something you do to get paid. But you do not always get paid for work. Take, for example, studying, training, or researching. That is work. Lawyers and doctors undergo several years of training. They work long hours with no pay. But when they finally finish the training, it is only when these professionals can earn money. And because they worked for 10 years or more, lawyers and doctors get paid big for their expertise. The same is true for entrepreneurs. A small business will surely fail if the entrepreneur skipped his homework. The mindset of the employee is to get paid for every work done. Employees expect their companies to give them free training, but that is the wrong mindset. Employees spend their free time watching movies, gossiping, drinking in the bar, or flirting with colleagues. Take, for example, professional athletes. They worked for free for several years. They started training without pay at a young age. Even if the times get tough, they keep on doing it. And because these athletes did their homework, they get drafted in national teams or win international games. Do you think the Beatles got paid that much when they started? No, many years ago. No one knows who the Beatles were. They are just one amateur rock band from Liverpool. The Beatles used to play all night long in clubs before they got famous. That daily tough training made them such great musicians. The Beatles did their homework, and because of that, they succeeded. Kiyosaki talked about the BI triangle, or big business investor triangle. If you want to reach that level of success, you need to remember 5 factors. The first is product, the second is legal, the third is systems, the fourth is communications, and the fifth is cash flow. Poor Dad's product is excellent, but he failed in communications or marketing. He thought that the brand of the ice cream was enough. The truth is that Poor Dad chose a cheap location in an old shopping mall. He should have rented a location in a busy sidewalk where many people and cars are passing by. As it was a franchise, Poor Dad got the 4 functions right. Cash flow, system, legal, and the product are all done well. All is good, except for communication. Poor Dad was not willing to work for free, and because of that, he failed on his job as an entrepreneur. He lost all his money, and he went back to being an employee. Lesson 4. Success reveals your failures. Kiyosaki was the worst salesman in Xerox Corporation. That was before he became an entrepreneur. He doesn't even sell one product, and he is falling behind all his colleagues. So Kiyosaki called Rich Dad to ask for an advice. "How many cold calls do you make in one day?" Rich Dad asked. Kiyosaki said that he makes 3 to 4 cold calls. But mostly he kills time in the coffee shop or do some paperwork. He is too embarrassed to make cold calls. Kiyosaki hates rejection. That is why he makes as few cold calls as possible. Rich Dad said that there's not one person on the planet who likes to be rejected. There are only people who overcome fear and thus get better at making cold calls. To stop failing, you need to fail faster. The faster you fail, the faster you'll learn from your mistakes. If you cannot take it, then you can quit. But it will only make you a loser. Rich Dad suggested that Kiyosaki should take another sales job at night. Kiyosaki complained. He doesn't want to work at night. He would rather party at nightclubs and see beautiful girls. But Rich Dad asked him, "Do you really want to become an entrepreneur?" The most important skill of an entrepreneur is selling. Without sales, then there is no business. And so Kiyosaki tried again. Still, people rejected him. They always say, "Sorry, we're not interested." Or, "If you don't leave right now, I'll call the police." Then he remembered Rich Dad's advice that you need to work for free before you get paid on the job. So Kiyosaki volunteered for a charity. The task is to call people and ask if they would like to give cash donations. Kiyosaki did this from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. after his job at Xerox. True enough, he failed faster. Instead of 3 to 4 calls a day, Kiyosaki was making over 20 calls. He got more rejections, and he learned how to handle them better. Kiyosaki learned the right pitches to say to finally make people say yes. And so, the faster he failed in his extra work, the more he earned at his job at Xerox. He was not the worst salesman anymore. With each passing day, he improved. In his 4th year at Xerox, Kiyosaki was already the #1 sales agent. He could sell anything to anyone. That was when he knew he was ready to become an entrepreneur. Lesson 5. Process versus Goal. Kiyosaki's first business was selling nylon surfer wallets. It was a great product. He and his partners were good at marketing it. They became millionaires. They were young, and they felt like they're on top of the world. Kiyosaki and his partners bought race cars and partied all night. But the business started to crumble. They got the product and communication right, but they failed on the systems, legal and cash flow. Kiyosaki and his partners were not able to handle these 3 factors when the business grew big. They lost a lot of money in the process. Kiyosaki realized that the business was poorly designed in the first place, but at least he experienced being a millionaire for 6 months. That was what Rich Dad told him. Most people never get that chance in life. Most people are content to have a job and a regular salary. Most of them spend their days either at home or at the office. Rich Dad decided to become an entrepreneur not just because of the money or the big house or expensive cars. He did it because of the adventure. Even though he failed many times, Rich Dad never regretted the experience. The times when he succeeded are the best times of his life. He told Kiyosaki that the process is more important than the goal. Failures remind you that you are missing something. You need to learn something more so that you can move towards success. Rich Dad explained that Kiyosaki already earned millions. It means that he is on the right track. He just needs to improve so that the business will keep on growing. Many years later, Kiyosaki looked back at his career and how he became a multimillionaire. He realized that over 3 decades, he underwent 3 processes in business. The first is the learning process, the second is the earning process, and the third is the giving back process. From 1974 to 1984, Kiyosaki learned how to be an entrepreneur. From 1984 to 1994, Kiyosaki started to earn more wealth. He learned from his mistakes and finally achieved success. He invested his profit in real estate and earned passive income. From 1994 to 2004, Kiyosaki decided it's time to give back. He established the Rich Dad Company. Kiyosaki asked himself, how can I serve more people? And so Kiyosaki took 3 decades to reach a high level of success. How many of us are willing to undergo the same process? When someone asks, who wants to be a millionaire? People are quick to raise their hands. Of course, everyone wants to be a millionaire. But who is willing to go through the challenging process? There are a few ways to become a millionaire. You can get rich from an inheritance or from marrying someone rich, from being a criminal or by winning on the lottery. But all of these ways are not sustainable. They will not bring you true happiness and success. Many years ago, a journalist asked Henry Ford, "What will you do if you lost all your money in the business?" Ford replied at once, "I will get it back within 5 years." Therefore, the best way to earn millions is to become a smart entrepreneur. Being smart is more important than being rich. If you ever lose all your money, you learn and become smarter in the process. As long as you have the mindset of a smart entrepreneur, you can always earn money no matter what happens. Conclusion. The entrepreneurial journey. You learned the difference between an employee and an entrepreneur. If you really want to start your own business, you need to be prepared for less safety and less security. Entrepreneurs don't receive monthly pay. You need to build the business from scratch. You need to pay for everything, including rent, internet, and even paper supply. You learned that entrepreneurs fail and fail again, but the sooner you recognize your mistakes, the sooner you can do something about it. Failures are part of the process. You will never know unless you try. The best way to learn about business is through experience. You learn the difference between job and work. Entrepreneurs do a lot of work for free at the beginning of a business. Sometimes it takes several years before they can get paid for the job. But remember that if you keep working, learning and improving yourself, you will soon reap the rewards. You learn that success reveals your failures. The more you fail, the more opportunities you have to succeed. By failing, you will know what works and what doesn't. It is how you can become a smart entrepreneur. You learn that the process is more important than the goal. There is no instant way to achieve success. You have to work for it. You have to learn and face many challenges. Being an entrepreneur is an adventure. It is not an easy task, but the results are rewarding. It is not about having big houses or fancy cars or being a celebrity. Being an entrepreneur is about having freedom, self-fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. If you have a purpose that is bigger than yourself, you will achieve extraordinary success. If you love this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content. Thank you for watching.